Greetings and salutations all, I.S. Anderson here once again, and I'm just going to do a quick video today, and as you guessed by the title, yes, I'm going to be talking about last night's episode of Game of Thrones, and just to let everybody know, yes, I have been keeping up with it, I have been watching it, not going to get into how, it's not HBO spinoff thing, but just, point being, I have been keeping up, and I did see the episode last night. And let me tell you, yeah, that, yeah, that whole scene with Sansa, yeah. Just, by the way, this is a discussion about last night's episode. If you have not seen Game of Thrones Season 5, Episode 6 yet, then you don't want to watch this because you will be spoiled. Of course, if you go out on the internet at all, you're probably going to be spoiled anyway, but still, you've been warned. So they raped Sansa. Yes, they raped Sansa. And with Ramsay Bolton, of all people. I mean, if there is anybody less worthy in all of the Seven Kingdoms, in the whole Westeros and Easteros combined, I can't think of anybody less worthy than Ramsay Bolton to be with Sansa. And they marry her off to him, and okay, yes, I have to remind myself it is just a show. It's just a show. But I mean, just think about this. I mean, Sansa's had a few close calls about this in the past. I mean, she's almost been raped at least once on the show, I mean, twice in the books. It hasn't actually happened in the books, but now they just sort of offer her up. I mean, yes, women have been raped in Game of Thrones before, but not quite like this. I mean, Daenerys was sort of, when she first married Khal Drogo, but that was a much different situation because of the way it turned out mostly. So I've been just not reading articles, but just sort of skimming over them, and apparently George R. R. Martin's getting a lot of emails about this, and there's a lot of buzz, and apparently Sophie Turner's just like, oh, I can't believe they did this to my character. Like, wait, didn't you read the script? Didn't you film that scene? I mean, those screams that we heard, they were your screams. I mean, they had to have put a mic in front of you. But anyway, I know there's just, I know, playing it up for the camera, but still. To be fair, though, Sophie Turner did kind of warn us about this, though, didn't she? I mean, she kind of said before the season aired that Sansa was going to go through a very traumatic experience, and, you know, when I first read that, my immediate thought was, are they going to rape her? But then I started thinking, well, no, they've already come close to it a couple times, so there's no reason they would actually go through it this time. Silly me. You know, I still have to tip my hat to Game of Thrones. You know what? I actually finished watching the episode last night. I started getting up and I was gritting my teeth. I actually slammed my fist into my desk. Yes, that desk. Yes, back there. Obviously, the desk won, but, you know, still I slammed my fist into it. That's how upset I was last night. And, you know, I have not had that strong an emotional reaction to any movie or TV show or book, and as far as I can remember. You know, so I guess that is saying something. And so eventually you have to start thinking, well, why would they do this? Why would they go to this extreme here? I mean, because I will say that didn't happen in the book. I mean, again, you know, Sansa did have a couple of close calls, but it never actually happened to her. You know, she certainly didn't get served up to Ramsay Bolton. Now, for those of you who watch the show but don't read the books, there was a similar plot. You've heard of the fake Arya plot, and basically Ramsay did kind of treat his fake Arya wife that way, and, you know, I won't get into, you know, Reek, he had to partake too, and let's just say he had to do more than just watch. So at least they spared us that. I mean, well, so far they've spared us that. We don't know if that might happen in future episodes. But anyway, of course, the simplest answer to that question is, well, it's Game of Thrones. They'll go that far. Anything can happen. You know, anybody can die. Anybody can, you know, be violated like that. You know, from the writer's point of view, you know, they don't need to really play Ramsay up as a villain anymore. I mean, he's pretty much well hated, so they don't need to do that. they could be making a play for, Stannis to come in at the end and save her, and, be the real hero. Of course, I mean, but most people have already sort of see Stannis as a hero. Plus, there was that scene with Shireen earlier on in the season, so don't really need to do that. So I guess one thing they could be doing is they're trying to get more people to feel sorry for Sansa, because Sansa as a character wasn't liked so much. I mean, she was kind of looked down upon by a lot of people because they think, oh, she's psychopath. So I guess maybe they're trying to make her a little bit more sympathetic. They're trying to make more people feel sorry for her so that they'll get behind her more. So then we come to the question, though, did they go too far? Was this, one step too far? Did Game of Thrones finally go to a place that was unacceptable? Well, I mean, for some people, the short answer is yes, of course. They've already gone to places that are unacceptable, blah, blah, blah. And other people are going to say, oh, no, it's Game of Thrones. You should have expected something like that, blah, blah, blah. Now, for the rest of us who are trying to look at this rationally and, aren't quick to snap judgments, let's see. I mean, on the one hand, did they do it purely for shock value? Did they do it purely for, this is Game of Thrones? I mean, in that case, I would say yes, it's going too far because they don't need to do that. I mean, keep in mind again, this didn't happen in the books, so I think they did this for a specific reason. And if they did it strictly for shock value, then I would say yes, they went too far. I mean, Game of Thrones doesn't need any more shock value. We don't need to go through that just to realize how shocking this series is. I mean, and if they did it just to play up, Ramsay as the villain or set up somebody else as a hero, again, I would say yes, they went too far. I mean, we already know what kind of a guy Ramsay is. I mean, people have pretty much already picked who their heroes are. Now, on the other hand, there are some things that they could have done that would actually make the scene justifiable. I mean, there are some angles they could take on it that, would be a good enough reason to put a scene like that in. Like I mentioned before, maybe they're trying to make more people, support Sansa, more people, sympathize with her. And I guess this would be one way to do it. I mean, could have been other ways to do it, but I guess that is a fairly effective way to do it. However, what I think this is really about, Theon. I mean, there was a reason they were focusing on him while that scene was going on, other than, not to show what was actually going on. I mean, they showed his reaction, and, they showed how much pain he was in. And it wasn't just to make us feel sorry for him, because, I mean, that what happened to him in Season 3 pretty much, made us, feel sorry for him. But anyway, I think this may be the beginning of his redemption arc. I mean, it's because, you notice he hasn't really stuck up for himself despite, all the tortures that he's going through. And maybe this is supposed to what set him on the path to becoming Theon Greyjoy again, rather than as opposed to just being Reek. And I guess that would justify the scene if it's to make, Reek become Theon again. Because he's not going to do it for himself. He's going to do it to save Sansa and make up for what he's done in the past, and sort of, make up for what he's done to her by allowing this to happen. So one of the things I was thinking last night is I was losing sleep over this, and yes, I did lose sleep over it. I was wondering and thinking, is this what the Red Wedding was like for the people who haven't read the books and just watched the shows? Because, I mean, that event made, some serious media, just like last night's did. And, of course, I knew that was coming because I read the books. And in the books, it shocked me to a certain extent, but not like last night did. And so I was thinking, well, is this my Red Wedding now? Is this, And it does sort of draw parallels to the Red Wedding, not because a bunch of people got killed on it, but, Sansa was bathing, the night before and washing all the dye out of her hair, and it was becoming red again. So there is kind of that parallel. So yeah, this might be, for a lot of people, that might be the new Red Wedding. So that's all I needed to get off my chest about last night. I will be doing another video, not necessarily about this, but if there's anything about mythology time you want me to go over, please let me know in the comments, or any ideas, anything you'd like me to see me do. All right, and leave me your thoughts on last night's episode. What do you think? I mean, what do you think is going to happen in the future? Do you think Theon's going to end up killing Ramsay, or Sansa will? And what about Baelish? I mean, what's going through his mind right now? I mean, obviously he wants to play, the Crown against the North, and Stannis against the Boltons, and then just sort of pick up the pieces. But I mean, what's he gonna do when he finds out about this? But anyway, leave me your comments below, and my pertinent contact information down below in the abyss as always. Please comment, rate, subscribe. You know the drill. And until next time, this is Isaiah Sanderson telling everybody, make your lives grand and have a good day. Thank you very much.